Yapping.
Hello, this is Edgar, and I am one half of the Yapping Schnauzers. We entertain you with yap-worthy stories we find around the web. Erika is still sick and can't speak as well, like and survive to make her feel better. But she's probably coming back within the next few episodes, so stick around for that. This week, we just chose a bunch of random threads from the most popular stories on r/am I the assholes. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Our first story is titled, Am I the Asshole for Not Wanting to Educate a Kid About My Wheelchair? Hey everyone, I, 39 female, temporarily have to use a wheelchair for longer distances due to a currently undiagnosed issue with my leg. My PT advised me to use one, and my husband rented a nice small wheelchair for me. I'm able to roll myself, which is a good workout, and did some training in maneuvering in our local shopping center. I visited a small zoo last weekend with my husband. My husband was getting coffee, and I was waiting outside the restaurant. A kid, age 7, I don't know, I'm not good with ages, and his dad got curious about my wheelchair. I understand that kids get curious and want to ask questions, but I barely understood why I'm in a wheelchair currently, and I was really not in the mood to explain my issues or be educational about it. So I just mentioned that sometimes someone's legs don't work. Cue to more questions, and I said I didn't want to answer more questions because I was tired. The kid's dad wasn't pleased with the response and mentioned that it was a good lesson for the kid. Now, I basically wanted to tell him that I'm not a zoo attraction, but there was a kid and I didn't want to make any drama. Luckily, my husband showed up with coffee and rolled me away. TLDR, kids asked questions about my wheelchair and I didn't want to educate the kid about my wheelchair. His dad did not like that. So, am I the asshole for not wanting to educate a kid about my wheelchair? I wouldn't say, yeah, totally not the asshole. Like, if anything, it's not the child. I mean, the child doesn't know how to act. To be honest, they're still learning. Most children are, but yeah, the father being so insistent that oh, you should be educated. Like this would be educational is a dick move. There's like no reason for anyone to be obligated to do anything for you, especially like if it's a total stranger. Like OP was nice enough to give like a simple explanation, like a simple uh, I don't know if it was kindly worded because I wasn't there, but like a pleasant or neutral response to a question by the kid. She handled it the best as she could, saying, "Oh, I'm just tired" and all that stuff. But I can imagine, yeah, if you have kids and they are very curious or ask a lot of questions, that does get pretty annoying after a while. But I mean, it's just like part of like of kids. Like anyone like that young, they just are very curious. They want to just know things that they don't know, and that's not the worst thing to happen. But like a lot of times, like especially in OP's case, there are some boundaries that should be written down. Like oh, maybe don't like look at someone strangely and like just point out whatever like abnormalities that they have. Like I said earlier, the child is not at fault for that. That's something that the parents have to teach the kid so they can be a little bit more socially aware and not lead to any like the sort of drama that happened now in this story. The top comment is the kid's dad wasn't pleased with that response. It mentioned that it was a good lesson for the kid. Then why isn't he teaching his kid? Lots of lessons in this one. For instance, learning how to respect a total stranger's privacy. Learning that just because you think you're entitled to know, you actually aren't. And learning that most times your need to know doesn't trump someone else's need to be left alone. So, not the asshole. That kid is entitled. The father is lazy and who seems happy to delegate his responsibilities to strangers, which makes him the asshole here. And I totally agree with all those points. Like what the father should have done was just basically like that. Just like if the kid wants questions, like especially like your own child, you should be the one and you as the parent believe that it's like an important lesson or it's something that you want the child to know. If you really wanted them to know, you'd be the one to teach them. That way, it's like a good lesson for both the child and yourself as a parent. Because often, like when you're teaching, you're forming new ways to like explain something, and to you to explain something simply, it lets you think about it more deeper, or lets you try to find a way to make it clear to your audience. Which is why, like when I was like teaching myself to code, a lot of the advice I got online was if you can just like mentor somebody or teach anyone that they don't have to be like drastically more inexperienced than you, but anyone that's like just a few steps behind you, it's gonna help them and it's gonna help you solidify what you do know. Back to the story, yeah, the father should have been more like proactive about teaching his own child like this lesson that he thought was pretty important and not delegate it to some like stranger, which would is pretty rude. Final verdict: OP is not the asshole, but definitely the parent is, and the child. Yeah, you can say they're entitled, but I don't think it's not totally their fault. The next story is titled "Am I the asshole for telling my wife I can't always stop work to do things for her?" I've worked from home since 2020 when the COVID lockdowns closed my office, and my employer subsequently realized we could easily do our jobs from home without needing an office at all. It works out very well because it allows me to take my kids to school in the morning, come home and start work, and then pick them up on my lunch break. My wife works at an office, but her workday starts about an hour after mine. A typical day looks like this. I get up at 6:30 a.m. and get the kids ready for school. I take them to school at 7:30 a.m. and I get home around 8, make some coffee and then start my workday at 8:30 a.m. During this time, my wife is still asleep. We typically go to bed around the same time every night, and most of the time I also use that time between 8 and 8:30 to prepare lunch for my wife. Sometimes either she or I haven't packed something the night before, but if it's something like a sandwich, then I'll make it fresh right before she leaves. However, I can't always do this. Today I dropped my kids off at school when one of them noticed they forgot their lunch bag. We live fairly close, so I could go home, grab the lunch bag, and bring it to the school for her. This, however, had me getting home at almost exactly 8:30, and I've had my wife well aware that this week is going to be hectic and I will be swamped with work all week. So this shouldn't have come off as a surprise. My wife, as she typically does, didn't get out of bed until just a few minutes before she had to leave, giving her just enough time to get dressed, do her hair, put on makeup, and read, and head out the door. She has a history of having problems with punctuality and has for as long as I've known her. She asked me to put her lunch together because she didn't have time, but I reminded her that I was swamped and literally couldn't spare a minute, much less the several minutes it would take to do all that. My job is very deadline based, so there are times I need to be working on a certain task by a certain time and it needs to be done. If I don't do my job, many other people can't do theirs, and it would hold up our whole process. I hold a senior position with 10 years at my company, so it's unlikely I'd be fired if I miss a single deadline, but it's not something I want to do if I can help it. It can be frustrating when she acts like I can always just drop what I'm doing. And as she left, she said, I don't know why you care so much about this company you work for. You should care more about your family. And then walked out the door. I feel like that's unfair because I believe I have an excellent track record when it comes to caring about my family. I've often thought about asking her to be the one to get up and take the kids while I sleep in sometimes, but I never do because in the end, I'm glad she's able to get extra sleep before she heads to a job where she's on her feet all day. Yet somehow she thinks I am the asshole for making work a priority in this rare situation. Is she right? I empathize. I get those words confused, but yeah, I feel for OP here that he has like a lot of responsibilities in this position, and he's able. It seems like he's able to juggle well enough like this full time senior position role while also being like a decent father and husband. I would say more than decent since he's waking up super early, going to sleep early, and also be there for his children. It's a little bit unfair on the wife's part, but I mean, this is like a case where both OP and his his wife should have some sort of like not boundaries, but more like just come to an understanding about the whole situation. Because I feel like this doesn't come out of the blue from the wife's end. Like she doesn't just like, oh, because of this one instance, I think that you put your work over your family. This is probably something that's been bubbling for a while now, and this is just how she feels about the situation. That she feels that OP cares about work more than his own family. But a question for OP's wife: why is he working so hard? What is this all for? Because I imagine in a senior position, it's allowing their family to live a pretty financially stable and well off life, and to work that hard and to like facilitates all that. And he wants to keep the job. Like I know he says that he can, like he doesn't miss deadlines, but he can afford to miss like a few of them. And I mean, if it was like a more pressing emergency, like oh something happened like at home with like anyone in his family, I imagine like that would be something that warrants like just missing a deadline for OP. But for something as simple as just like, oh, I just don't have time for something as simple as making breakfast for your wife, which is one time, like just missing out on that because you have a deadline. That's like something that just isn't worth like using like one of your few brownie points with your company. I do think they just don't see eye to eye at the end, and that's like not a divorceable offense at all, or like anything to go to couples counseling for. But it just means that they just have to talk it through and just realize that even though it seems like they have different priorities, it's all for the same common goal, which is that they have like a stable family that is happy, and that they're continually or that they're continued to work as a team. So the top comment is not the asshole. You sound like a great partner and parents. I think your wife is being unreasonable. She knows she's being unreasonable and is projecting that on you. I think you two should have a conversation and let her know how unfair that was of her to say and how it made you feel, and things like that are not okay. Yeah, and that's basically what I said. Like having this sort of comment thrown out, yeah, it comes from a bubbling from the wife's end, but also this isn't shouldn't be something that is habit. Like this is the kind of exchanges that they have because like it's very toxic for the relationship. So even though like as a one time thing, it doesn't. It's like not a bad signal for the relationship. If this becomes a habit, then it would be something that creates resentment between both OP and the wife. And yeah, and from my point of view, yeah, the wife is being unreasonable saying all this when it seems like she has like a little bit more time waking up in the morning, which is like fine. Like not everyone's a morning person. Like I'm definitely not a morning person at all. But yeah, this is the sort of thing that you just need to have like a one-on-one conversation with your partner just to make sure that you guys are on the same page. I'm sure the wife is probably was like a little bit grouchy or has her own issues at work. Like OP doesn't mention all of the uh we're only just getting this from OP's side and not the wife's side. But still, this is something that warrants like a discussion. So final verdict. Yeah, OP and the wife honestly they're not acting as assholes in this situation. Like I know OP probably was hurt by that comment. Like he seems like he's giving a lot for the family and for work, his children, and his wife. And just to hear that kind of sucks. But this is just. But this is like an opportunity for them to get closer by just trying to resolve an issue like in an adult and loving way. So the next story is titled "Am I the asshole for rejecting my mom's loving gesture?" I, autistic adult, male, live with my mother. She works with cooking, while I work at home doing art. My mother works at a restaurant that focuses on pastas and noodles, and she has brought home food from work, and it's often, you guessed it, pasta. I don't like pasta, but I will eat it if I'm very hungry. However, I've gotten very tired of pasta really quick. I'd say it's on my list of disliked foods, and she should know this because I've told her a couple of times already. It's not like I don't cook, I do. In fact, since she works all day, I'm the only one who cooks for me and for her when she comes back from work. She oftentimes doesn't eat what I made because she's too tired or because she already ate at work, and that's fine by me. Anyways, a few weeks ago, I told her about how I was craving some fried rice from the Chinese takeout, and she told me she'd bring some one of these days. Well, fast forward to today, and she texts me saying she's at one of these places that sells fried rice, and then she proceeds to tell me she wants to order pasta instead of fried rice because she's not feeling fried rice today. And I tell her that it's confusing of her to tell me that, knowing I wanted fried rice and am tired of pasta. And I told her that's like me telling you I want donuts and then you walk into a donut shop and buy me a cupcake instead. Why? She got pretty angry at me and started saying, "Make your choice already." But what choice? She did not give me a choice. And I mentioned this to her and she went on about how I'm ungrateful. It really stung, so when she asked me if I still wanted a pasta, I told her she didn't need to buy me anything if she did not want to waste her money. Because during her rant, she mentioned her money being tight, and I thought this would ease things up. This only made her more angry, and she sent me a message saying how this was a loving gesture and how ungrateful I am. I hate being called ungrateful because she uses it towards me a lot, and it really does hurt me, especially since I am autistic and a picky eater. Despite that, I still eat pasta because whenever she brings some home, I'm just tired of it. She has a history of bringing me things I do not like and expecting me to like it. It feels like she doesn't know me at all, even though I am her son. And I communicated with her about my likes and dislikes. So, am I the asshole? Yeah, OP. Yeah, you're definitely the asshole in this one. I'm very grateful for my family, and I I guess I used to be a very picky eater when I was younger, but going to college and that entire experience away from my family, uh, just made me appreciate food more. Because at least right now, I see food as more of an energy thing first, and then second, just like something that is good. But in being like in ever college life, you just don't have a lot of options. So I just learned to like enjoy all food, like veggies included, which I was definitely not a veggie child when I was younger. But on top of that as well, like parents, they do a lot for you. Like if you have a stay-at-home mom, they are still doing a lot of work maintaining that house. But if you have parents that also work, like your parent does, OP, they're doing that, and also they're either cooking for you or trying to find some way to put food on your plate in whatever way they can. Like, sorry that you don't like pasta anymore because you have it every day, but that's like what she is able to provide at this moment. And I'm sure she's sick of pasta as well, but she still eats it because it's something for survival, and she's able to bring extra and share it with you because she cares about you. So yeah, and think of like all the other like people who don't have parents either because they have strenuous circumstances or they just aren't around anymore. I imagine a lot of those people wish they had at least like one more meal or one more day with their parents. Another thing I like to point out too is your OP, your mother keeps saying that you are ungrateful, and you say that stings because you don't like being called ungrateful. But the surefire way to not be called ungrateful is if you show some gratefulness from time to time. So let's read the top comment. The top comment is not the asshole. This is weird. Why couldn't she just get fried rice for you and pasta for herself? And I mean, yeah, from what I see from all of the Reddit posts or all the Reddit commenters, it seems like a lot of them are saying that OP is not the asshole, and that OP is like in the right here, and they're asking like, oh, why didn't she just get pasta? So I feel like they're maybe not like understanding the situation. To be honest, like they're all right, they're all wrong, and I'm right in here. But I don't understand how they don't see that OP is working. I don't even know if he's working from home, but like because he seems like he's just doing art. I imagine he's like not bringing any money, so the mother is like the one providing for the entire family. So even though, so ultimately, like this, like the entire decision on food and a bunch of that stuff, that's like not in OP's control, and he nor should he expect it to be. Like he can suggest things, but like in cases like this where OP's mom is clearly tired and overworked, being a little bit more empathetic and just saying, yeah, you and being more empathetic and allowing your parent to help you out the best they can would go a long way in the relationship between OP and his mother. Because I know, like I hear a lot of people who say, oh, if you ever move back with your parents after like college or after you've been away for so long, that's like a surefire way to like destroy your relationship with your parents. And I moved back with my parents after college, and I did not feel that at all. If anything, I felt like a lot more stronger and closer with them after like moving back. So it just makes me wonder what kind of situation is going on between there. Like what kind of friction could actually be going on. Like I'm pretty like low key, and my family is pretty accommodating and supportive of me. But also at the same time, like I am back at home, but I do feel I owe them me trying my best to make something of myself. So even though I was like at home after college, with not like a lot of job prospects, I still try to be as productive as I can be. That's why I went to construction, and that's why I studied like pretty hard to teach myself how to code and like get into like a much better tech job. And I feel like that's like the least you can give to your parents, like have them be proud of you and be able to support them when you can. It's interesting to think about. Do you guys think that moving back with your parents after having like your freedom and being away from them for so long is like a bad thing for that relationship? But yeah, so final verdict. Yeah, despite what the majority thinks, still think that OP is the asshole, and his mother. Would I say she's a saint? No, I think she probably has her own flaws and stuff like that, but I think she's trying her best. And as a mother, a loving mother, and that's like a blessing within Opie's life. I hope he realizes this soon. So the next story is titled, Am I the Asshole for Filing a Police Report on a Good Friend Who Was Caught on Video Stealing My Boyfriend's Camera at a Dinner? She has refused to help me either replace it in full or contribute to the cost of replacing it. So that title was a mouthful. I don't have any immediate impressions. I have a reading level of a kindergartner, TVH. So, more context. We were out to dinner one night at an expensive hotel. My boyfriend let me borrow his Canon G7X 1800 camera, yeah, fancy camera, to bring to take pictures with my friends. At the conclusion of the dinner, I went up to the room and realized the camera was gone. I went back right down to the table and no one had seen it. I immediately got with hotel security and she's on video, clear as day, swiping the camera when my back was turned and shoving it in her purse. I covered it for her initially with my friend and contacted her to find a resolution. She had taken the camera with her and my other friend to a club after dinner, which I did not attend, and lost it there. For background, this is my good college friend who I know very well, the camera thief, by the way. And she has been taken on free trips to Coachella and St. Barb's on my dime, not kidding, as well as many other things. We have done a lot of things together and are good friends, so I expected her to feel sorry. Initially, she lied, saying she did not have it. When I told her we have her on video, she confessed and said yes, she took it but lost it at the next bar she went to with my other friends. It is now gone. I asked her to help me replace it by splitting it with me on the cost. She had refused all measures of or resolutions, and now I feel like I have nothing left to do but file a police report and let them handle it. It is impacting my relationship, and I am furious my friend is not helping at all. Why should I be on the hook for something she stole? I have given her 3 weeks to help me resolve this, and she insists she is going to do nothing. I am being pressed by my boyfriend to either replace the camera or help him file a report with her info and the footage. I even asked her to just throw in half or less than half the cost to help, but she still refuses. I do not want her to get in trouble, but I'm at the point where I feel she just doesn't really care. So there's a few updates I'll read back to back. I sent her a text this morning telling her if I do not receive a full cost of the camera or shipping confirmation of a new camera from an approved vendor to provided address by the end of the day, Friday, we will be filing a report with the police Saturday. I felt like an asshole typing this out to her, but I have to do it. And she told me she is sick of me and that I will be receiving a tracking number by 12 Eastern on Friday and not to blame her if the package is never received. I told her if she was my real friend, she would be sorry, and in no way will I allow this to be flipped on me. Should I ask if the camera is new or is the one that disappeared? Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't believe that the camera would be gone. I mean, I can believe it if they were drunk enough, but definitely, like, this other chick is a shady character, so I wouldn't put it, like, past her. That she could have just, like, pretended to have lost it, but have it in her house somewhere. She sent me a tracking number via FedEx. It says that it's awaiting packaging. I've asked her repeatedly if she is sending me the original camera, assuming it magically turned up, or a new one. She refuses to answer and only tells me to stop bothering her. And the final update, I am more and more convinced my friend, the camera thief, took the camera hoping that I would just replace it for my boyfriend, gifting her a free camera. For background, this friend is heavily involved on Instagram and loves taking pictures. The Canon G7 is coveted by women because it is known as the Instagram camera. Even if you wanted to buy one at full price, they are always out of stock everywhere. Let's hope it gets returned with this tracking number. FedEx still says awaiting package, even though shipping info was sent to them yesterday. So I imagine this happened over the course of a week. So first off, I want to see how expensive this camera is. So it looks like it's almost $2,000. So yeah, basically grand larceny if the charges would have been ended up being filed, which is what I think OP should have done, giving because I feel like he was um very loose with her friend, very forgiving for. I mean, I guess I imagine this is like a pretty one-sided relationship, given like the context and given everything that we've read here so far. Like, and it just seems like OP's friend doesn't even like care about her. Like she just sees her as some sort of like free piggy bank. Yeah, I mean OP kind of brought her upon herself by like put like being like a doormat for so long. Now her relationship is on the line, which I mean since it's a very expensive camera, I can imagine the boyfriend's like freaking out right now. But that's just what happens when you put your trust on like the wrong people. And OP's friend or now ex friend is definitely like a pretty bad person. Like he's lying, stealing the camera outright, and again lying when they just like photographic video evidence, and then to act that way, like to act like so like negatively and like annoyed that you were caught stealing a very expensive camera after that friend that you stole the camera from has been giving you like free trips and free like vacations. It just shows like an ungratefulness that I think OP should just like cut off after this, which I'm sure there's like no salvaging this like relationship. So yeah, the top comment is you're the asshole. Is there a reason you are choosing your thieving friend over your boyfriend? She made it clear she's not your friend and that she's not going to make things right. This police report should have been filed the moment she said she wasn't going to pay for it. If I were your boyfriend, I would be considering the relationship with you over this. You're dragging your feet to make this right and get the report made and replace this camera. I mean, definitely like a police report should be filed if the camera like never comes. Like OP's friends like said, "Oh, don't be surprised if you don't get anything." Like that just screams that like she's probably doing something like fishy, like around like this whole package thing, this whole FedEx thing that she's trying to send to OP. I don't think OP's the asshole though. Like sure, like from her perspective, this is her best friend or one of her closer friends catches her stealing, and maybe they're so close where she just wants to give this one friend that she assumes is like a good friend of hers as well. Like I guess she doesn't see it for herself that this is one sided, but yeah, she assumes it's like a mutual, like they're both close friends. I'm sure she just wanted to like say, oh, I just want to forgive you this one time, and I guess she just didn't want to break it off like immediately there. Like she didn't want to have like her best friend being in so much trouble over this. But like ultimately, I'm pretty sure she sees that the camera's either not coming or she's gonna have to go through illegal routes to get the camera back. Like I understand the boyfriend being upset over losing this, but like this isn't something that I would say is like worth breaking up for, because this like ultimately this is just a thing. It's just like you lost like a very expensive thing, but it is like things, and that shouldn't be put over your own relationship. Oh, and then one more thing too I wanted to add, like like OP's or at least the Fred or like Reddit in general, like when you get outside opinions, yeah, they're pretty detached from the situation, so that's why they like hindsight is 2020. So them saying that like the Fred the commenter is saying that she should have just like throw the book at her friend day one. Yeah, I mean that's obvious now. Like if OP knew the entire like dynamics of this like friendship that she has with this one person, if she knew that from the get go, yeah, she probably would have just called the police in the first chance they could have gotten. But realistically, there's just like a lot of things that are going on moment to moment that the commenters aren't really like picking up on or applying to the case. So I think yeah, like OP is doing the best she could. Now she has to like basically make more harder decisions with like the police report and how to gracefully end the friendship with this one person. But yeah, my for my final verdict, I wouldn't say OP is the asshole. And when I say the boyfriend's the asshole, not really. He's like more upset, like rightfully upset about like losing a very expensive camera. But definitely OP's friend is like a huge asshole in this situation. Just like the amount of ungratefulness and the blatant like stealing. It's just like there's just so much disrespect, and I imagine there's like so, and it shows comes to show you that you're never betrayed by enemies. You're betrayed by friends. The final story is titled, "Am I the asshole for yelling my friend out for implying I was trying to be a homewrecker?" So I, 19 female, am in a group project with 4 other people. Only 2 are important. My friend and this one guy from our group. The guy and the other 2 live off campus and drive, and me and my friend both live in the dorms and we do not drive. We had to meet off campus for the project, and the guy offered to drive both of us and meet the others there as it made the most sense. When we were in his car, I was shotgun and my friend was in the back, and he drives a small 2-door, so we're all super close to each other. I flipped down the sun blocker to use the mirror, and a Polaroid of him and his girlfriend was clipped to the sunshade. And I said, "Oh, that's cute. Is that your girlfriend?" And he said yes, and he flipped his own sunshade down to reveal another picture. I said, "Oh, that's so sweet." And I tried to be friendly and make small talk, as I would be working with him for at least the next month. I started asking about his girlfriend. "Oh, how long have you guys been together? How'd you meet? Does she go to our college?" etc. I thought nothing of it until my friend asked me what the hell that was later. And I asked what she meant by that, and she said that I was clearly being weird. I told her that I didn't understand, and she asked if I would be asking all of this if his girlfriend was in the car. And I said, no. I probably asked her instead, and I told her I didn't see her point. I didn't ask her if she wanted to just never talk to our group mates, and the teacher wasn't really clear on how future projects would work. These groups were randomized, and he implied that we might keep these groups for other projects as well. However, I am unsure. So she said, yeah, obviously, you can get to know them, but don't ask questions about his girlfriend like that. And used a weird tone like you were flirting, and that is kind of disgusting. And I told her that she could get out of here with that stupid shit and that it wasn't that serious. And she told me that she was now further considering I was trying to be a homewrecker. And we have only talked about the project at this point, and it's only been a few days. And I'm reconsidering how mean I was to her over something somewhat trivial. So I do not know where Opie's friend is coming from with this. Like, I didn't feel like this was like a pretty normal reaction when you're just like talking to somebody. Like usually when you're talking to like a stranger or someone you don't know too well, you either say something, you do some sort of small talk to get like a feel for the vibes, and if there's like anything you can hold on to like keep a conversation going into like just build rapport, it's like normal to just like go into that. And from this case, Opie saw that, oh, my group mate has a girlfriend, and I imagine this is like one of the few things that he would like to talk about or is very excited about talking about. So, of course, just ask questions about that. Uh, so, I think this is like a very normal, like kind of conversation that you can have with some, like with a stranger that you just met or know very little about. I think OP's friend's response is more like it seems like a untrusting kind of signal that she has. Like maybe she rigidly feels like people shouldn't like talk about I guess private manners. I guess depending on how someone sees it, like a relationship, like a relationship status could be like a private matter. And it's like based all on comfort and stuff. Like obviously OP and her group mate, they're comfortable enough to talk about this sort of things openly, but OP's other friend, or the one friend that she's closer with, sees otherwise. Calling OP a homewrecker over this, like, I feel like it's a huge jump in logic. Like, definitely, if you're trying if you're trying to, like, seduce, like, someone else, I wouldn't, like, just be talking about, like, their significant other. Like, I feel like that was just, I don't know, that's just not a way that, like, for me, like, I can't really figure out a way to put A and B together with, like, talking about, like, who someone is dating is gonna make them somehow like me more instead. I guess this doesn't make sense. But yeah, let's go to the top comment. The top comment is, you were trying to make polite conversations. Your friend was trying to stir shit, not the asshole. And yeah, simply said, I think yeah, the homewrecker comment is like very like uncalled for, like especially from your own friend, which I guess says a lot about that friend at least. And I think yeah, like when you're in college or high school, a lot of people you know and me and like befriend. I feel like a lot of those things kind of like switch up pretty easily depending on the situation. So final verdict: OP definitely is not the asshole, and neither is a group mate. Like they're both just trying to be regular average people, but there's probably something not deeply wrong, but like something like some slight worldview or like social issue for OP's friend or ex friend now. So that's all the stories we have today. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Check out our website, www.yappings.com, and join our mailing list for updates. If you love our podcast and want to support us, subscribe and share to your friends and family. We would appreciate this so much. And also, we have a Facebook group called AITA Relationship and Family Drama, linked in the description. Join so you can share Am I the Asshole posts you like, or share your own stories for us all to judge. We may even read a few posts in one of our episodes. Thank you. Bye.